I'd like to welcome Thor Rigney. He is presenting to us from the Faculty of Health. He's talking about chiropractic profession attributes, is it?
Attrition.
Attrition, okay.
I'll take it from here.
Okay, that'd be marvellous. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Thor. That is my real name. My mother gave it to me when I was born. It's a nod to my Norwegian heritage. It is not a nickname assigned because of my resemblance to Chris Hemsworth. I'm glad you didn't laugh too hard. So I'm presenting on chiropractic profession attrition, a narrative review of studies over 30 years. And because of the invitation for these abstracts, it was this idea of doing something a little bit different. It turns out that what I'm doing is not so different. It's like the theme of this Praxis is a personal journey. So I'm going to, let's see, is this working? There we go, sorry. I'm going to share my journey to publication. But before I go further, I'd like to express my gratitude, firstly to the committee of the Southern Cross Postgraduate Association and all of the staff members that make my presence here at this conference possible, and my presentation this afternoon. I thank you for that. Also, of course, I have to express my gratitude to my fabulous super duper supervisors who are extremely kind and generous and wise, Professor Sandra Grace and Dr. Joe Bradbury. And of course, the graduate school in the Faculty of Health. And this year, I would like to express my gratitude to the journal editor and her many reviewers who looked at my paper. And of course, I thank my friends and family who support me through this process. And I thank all of you for being here after lunch at the last day of the conference. Thank you so much for being here. So I've already hinted of what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start with the paper presentation. I'm going to share a link to my paper. You might want to take a photograph if you're interested. And then I'm going to, before taking questions, share a little bit about my journey to publication. So as you might guess, I did publish this review. Thank you. I'll take it. We were just encouraged to celebrate. I thought, oh, I'm not going to present this. This is just this little review. And it's actually not technically part of my thesis, but it is related. So it's the first publication associated with my thesis, and it was just published this month in the Journal of Chiropractic Humanities. So we were looking at, we wanted to examine the state of peer-reviewed, published peer-reviewed studies on chiropractic attrition, which includes the rate of and reasons for attrition. So attrition basically means individuals leaving the profession. There's multiple reasons for this. Some include retirement from the workforce in general, disability resulting in inability to practice chiropractic, and then what I'm most interested in is resignation, individuals who voluntarily depart from the profession to work in other fields. So when it's been published, a rumor of 50% of graduates are no longer practicing chiropractic after 5 years post-graduation. When I started my first day of chiropractic school, I was told 70% of my cohort, imagine this audience filled, 70% of the audience would no longer be practicing 5 years post-graduation. I don't know why they told us that on the first day. I don't know if it served as an inspiration or what, and I don't know where they got that information. So The reason why this can be a concern, if it were true, is that low back pain still is the #1 cause of disability in the world. And at least in the US, chiropractors are known to treat low back pain. That's commonly sought for low back pain treatment. I'm sure it's similar around the world, but the information comes from the US. Here in Australia, it's been predicted that there's going to be a shortfall of healthcare providers. And the concern here is related to the musculoskeletal conditions, which are also somewhat associated with chiropractic. I know there's more, but that's the association. That musculoskeletal conditions are the third most common purpose for people to see a GP. So, if there's a shortfall, there's potential consequences. So we went to search to see what the literature was about this. And we searched 5 databases, and with multiple keywords. The syntax used varied depending on which database we were searching. So we were looking for peer-reviewed, observational, or experimental studies that were looking into chiropractic profession attrition or resignation. We were not interested in papers that were exclusively on burnout. We were not interested in studies that looked at attrition of student dropouts from chiropractic programs, nor were we interested in chiropractic patients dropping out of experimental designs. I did all the searching, and I also did all the selection. If I wasn't sure if a paper went in or out, I brought it to my supervisors, and collectively we made a decision whether or not it was going to be included. The typical data points were pulled out. That was the plan, to pull it out like that. They're so typical, I'm just going to move on from there. Okay, so, 30 years, 108 papers were identified, in the first search, and then through the process, we ended up with 3 papers being included, 30 years. And then the 2 of the papers were attrition. 1 was on attitudes about the chiropractic profession. All of the studies were retrospective observational studies. So the attrition papers, they did not confirm the 50% attrition rate. Instead, the lowest reported attrition rate was 4.5%. The highest reported throughout the study was 28% attrition. The first one that you see there was a direct analysis of attrition rate. That was through a survey being sent to graduates of a particular chiropractic school. They were being surveyed about their work status. And they found from a result of their survey that 4.5% of their graduates dropped out of the profession. The other study did a surrogate sort of analysis of attrition. Instead of directly assessing attrition from the profession, they measured the attrition rate, a 10-year attrition rate of individuals who held a valid license to practice chiropractic in the state of California. So, they measured the number of people coming in, and then 10 years later, how many of those maintained a valid license. Thought that there was going to be an increasing rate of attrition. So it started off at 10%, maxed out at 28%, but settled around 20 and 25%. That was their result. The first study did not ask about why attrition. The second study hypothesized reasons for attrition, and those reasons were based on financial matters. The third paper was on attitudes about the chiropractic profession, and so they surveyed non-practicing chiropractors about their attitudes of the profession. They did not ask about reasons for attrition, why they are no longer practicing. They just asked about their attitudes, and their attitudes were in 4 domains: They were financial, educational, psychosocial, and political. And I pulled out the top 3 levels of agreement and disagreement, but really, there's so much issues with these results. But I would say that so I'll tell you why to take this with a grain of salt. But the idea that setting one's own hours of practice was an attractive feature. 90% said, yes, that's right. And that came from the psychosocial aspect of in the domains. But the idea of like, is it easy to make money? No, 83% did not agree with that. And that came from the financial. And then, would you encourage others to become chiropractors? 79% said no. And that came from the educational. So the quality. So the studies on attrition are difficult. It's difficult to generalize that information because it was specific populations, one chiropractic school, one state. Thank you. And the paper on attrition, on the attitude paper, the survey was designed by an individual who left practice, and his survey population were members of an online forum of chiropractic skeptics. So you can kind of see where they were going with that. So the conclusions drawn from this study was that there's not very much information, and that there's no new information since 2010, that at least the attrition rates that were reported are not as high as rumored, and that the reasons for attrition are still unclear. So I recommend that more research be done, and in particular, a prospective or retrospective cohort study utilizing the voice of lived experience. These are the references. As promised, this is the link to the paper. And well, I was posing for the photographs, but I'll take the applause, thank you. And then, so my journey to publication, I submitted this paper on the 4th of May, yes, may the 4th be with you. I did that on purpose. I'm a total Star Wars geek, and proud of it. So the paper was immediately rejected, and but at least the editor said, "Oh, try this journal." So I did, and then after a while, I did get some feedback from 6 reviewers, lengthy feedback, and it was devastating. I thought it was going to be this quick little thing. It was pretty much done and dusted, and I'm like, I'll just like do the slight detour away from my thesis and do this quick little thing and get the publications going, and whammo. And so I was really devastated. And like Catherine said, that you kind of read into the dialogue of their feedback, and it was like it triggered all this insecurity, and like I said, I was devastated, and yeah. So when I told my supervisors about it, they assured me that this is normal, and they recommend that you put it down for a couple days. I think I put it down for a couple of weeks, and licking my wounds, and then when I read it over a couple of times, I went, oh, they're actually kind of helping here. And I saw it in a different way. Some of them I still felt like, oh, this person I think knows who I am and doesn't like me. And so whatever, I just persevered. And so I submitted another version. It came back with a lot more stuff, and I submitted another version. And then, the editor got involved in that one. Anyway, after a year and 1 month, it finally got published. So I have learned so much from that journey, and I'm grateful for the experience, because I do feel like I'm a better writer and a better product was the result of it. Thank you so much for your attention. Questions are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, you've identified a significant gap in understanding chiropractic attrition, haven't you?
Yes, yeah, indeed.
In your literature review, why did you exclude articles on burnout?
That was what I was going to ask.
Yeah, me too. Okay, we've got everyone burning questions there.
Okay, burnout might be a reason for attrition, but burnout in itself doesn't lead to attrition. There are plenty of people that burn out who don't leave, and there's been studies about burnout and attrition, and they do not equate. So, if it was specifically on burnout and not related to attrition, then it was omitted, because people manage burnout. There's all this stuff about managing burnout and preventing it, managing it, and overcoming it. So it didn't necessarily lead to attrition. So it'd be a study on burnout and not on attrition.
Okay,
Good
fair enough.
answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any further questions or comments?
Thank you. How are you going to reach out to people who used to be chiropractors to find out why they left?
First of all, I'm going to hunt them down. I'm going to get their names, because the cohort is 2010 graduates from Australian chiropractic schools, and at the time there were only 3 chiropractic schools graduating, and so it's not in the thousands; it's in the hundreds. And then the reason the 2010 cohort is because of the APRA was started at that. So there's a national database of the individuals who were registered. So I can then check the 5-year, 10-year, and then and send out the, I can use the database to get contact information, and then utilize snowball sampling through social media to try to get others. And there's there's not that many chiropractors in Australia, so they can spread the word out.
Thank you. Thanks so much.